5 games for Brucey Boudreau, 5 wins. The
Gotta
Canucks.
love it. We all love him here, obviously.
Obviously. I mean,
so
forget objective journalism. We are not objective when it comes to Bruce Boudreau, but it's got to be one of the more feel-good stories in the National Hockey League because, as both of you know as former players, when you are losing and losing and losing, and not only that, you're not even playing well, you're not scoring if you're a star player, it can probably get pretty depressing in the dressing room. And now, this has got to be like the biggest story in the NHL right now, or one of.
Absolutely. And I think the big thing here is that before you even get to X's and O's as a new coach, and Daniel, you and I have both been on teams where you've had mid-season coach firings, it's about making the players believe. And I don't know what was said, what Bruce did, but they're believing now. You know, I mean, even when you look at that game last night, they're down 3-0.
You're going, okay,
And
they're
I'm like,
allowed
all right,
at least one loss.
Here we go, yeah, you know what I'm saying? And then
It's all starting to sink in here.
So now we saw the big step up, by Bo Horvat last night. We had Brock Besser's been awesome. Elias Pettersson's gotten the board. Connor Garland. I mean, they're getting the right guys scoring, and I'll give you a lot of credit to Bruce. I don't know what was said, and you got to give a lot of credit to the players too, but you have to make them believe before you get those results, and I think he's done that.
He's made them more relaxed, obviously, and look, anytime a coach comes in, you want to impress them. You want to do whatever it takes. You've got to change something. The Vancouver Canucks have a lot of good players. We know that. They weren't nearly as bad as they were showing, but it was from goaltending out. The goaltenders couldn't stop a puck. They were like the Keystone Cops in their own zone. Their top players weren't producing offensively. All of a sudden, Bruce comes in and says, take a deep breath, boys. Relax. I've got all the confidence in the world in you, and he's lit a fire under them, and we knew Vancouver was a much better club. I certainly did, because I kept believing that this team will get it right. They will figure it out, but obviously the coaching change has made a huge difference, and I'm real happy for Bruce.
And, you know, Thatcher Demko didn't play in the game last night. It was Jarro Halak, I believe. But Thatcher Demko, like, he's had a good season all year, even though the team
early
in front
on,
of him,
but he was
even though the
under
team
fire.
in front of him wasn't great. But look at his numbers now that the team in front of him actually believes. Obviously the 4 wins, but a .962 save percentage is ridiculous. I don't care if it's only over a 4-game sample size. He's been so good, and as Bruce Boudreau has said in a couple of press conferences now, good goaltenders make good coaches. So giving Thatcher a lot of the credit.
But they are better around him. Does that not make a big difference, Rep, where we know a goaltender now feels more confident and comfortable that I don't have to be spectacular, stop every shot. I know where they're coming from. They're shutting down lanes. They're getting in the way. They're playing with more desperation in front of them, where it was a disaster for the first 6 weeks of the season. But good for the Canucks, because they got a lot of good young players, and they're putting it together, and Bruce is leading the charge.
Well, when Bruce took over, this team was 9 points out of a playoff spot, and we all knew him. We heard Bruce say it in some of his media availabilities when he was first hired. You know, we're going to have to go on a run to get back in this thing. Well, they've gone on a bit of a run, 5 straight wins. They're only 4 points back now.
Wow,
so they've made up 5 points over the course of the last, week and a bit?
And that's, when you look at the standings right here, I am not knocking some of these other teams, but hang on a second. Do you believe that I think there's a lot of believers out there in Anaheim. Do you believe in Anaheim?
Oh, I thought you were asking about the Canucks. I think the Canucks can fight for a playoff.
That's my point. Is like the Anaheim Ducks. Are they going to hit a spot where it's a little market correction?
Even if they don't, though, we just talked about the Edmonton Oilers. Right? They're struggling right now.
How is this COVID stuff going to affect the Calgary Flames, who are going to be on the shelf here for a while? You know what I mean? Like there's
and we've seen
situation here.
That division has all of a sudden become very competitive, top to bottom, because things can change quickly with a 5-game winning streak, and it's going to be very interesting.
You know what else is going to be interesting? The Vancouver Canucks play the San Jose Sharks twice in the next week and a half.
A much improved team, and the Sharks as well.
Those are big games, though. If Vancouver can get 4 points out of those games, no matter how they do it, it's going to make up huge ground between them and a team that they're trying to jump. So keep an eye on that. Right now, it's a 5-game winning streak for Bruce and the Canucks. Elsewhere, the Avs on a winning streak of their own. They won their 5th game in a row last night against the New York Rangers.
I was kind of disappointed in this game from the standpoint I wanted to see a reaction here by the New York Rangers. They got absolutely pumped a week ago by this team.
Yes.
And you get a crack at it, and the Rangers, we went over it. The Rangers' record against playoff teams is not good. They beat up on all the teams. They 14-0-2 in against non-playoff teams, which is good because
you got to win those
games.
You
got to win those games. So I give them credit for that. But I'm not sure. Are they ready to take that next step? Because they're getting.
I think they're 7-7 and something against above 500 teams,
and
something like that.
And they've gotten shellacked in some of them. The Calgary Flames spanked them around. You got the Colorado Avalanche has taken their lunch money 2 times in the last week. I mean, I don't know. I'm a believer in this Rangers team, but I got to see something against the top end teams they play. I haven't seen it yet.
Look, I think Shesterkin early on masked a lot of their problems in their own zone at times, and then we saw a heavyweight fight. Rupper, me and you get a little pumped about this every once in a while. Yes. I've gone with the times. I love the skill of these young guys, but once in a blue moon when 2 behemoths go at it, and you don't see Ryan Reeves lose too often, and I certainly would give the decision to McDermott, who is a mountain of a man as well. But did you see Colorado's bench, how fired up they were? They feel an inch bigger, 10 pounds taller, even though the game has transitioned, and that's good with me. We don't need to see that all that often. But that still makes their players in that bench compared to last season when they got pushed around against Vegas in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, no, it's big, and I thought that was a big part in the game. Just for this Colorado team has been on the move here for a little bit, and to have a guy like Curtis McDermott come in here, is he going to log a ton of minutes every night? Is he going to have to fight all the time? No. But to have that opportunity to go out there and just be like, hey, we're the big dogs on the block. At least we are tonight. You know what I mean? That goes a long way. The guys stand up on the bench. I think that goes a long way with the hockey club.
It is a deterrent. Look, again, our time was our time. The new generation here, it's more skill top to bottom, but you ask every player to a man when they have a guy like Curtis McDermott who's around, might not even be in the lineup every night, might not need him every night, but you just breathe easier because the game is still a physical game. There's still a little bit of intimidation. Not like our days, Rupper. Having said that, because the game has gotten faster and quicker and more skilled, but players still love it. I talk to guys, and they're going, yeah, it's nice to have that lethal weapon around. And McDermott is serviceable. He's not hurting you out there. He can play a little bit.
Well, the guy he fought, Ryan Reeves, Adam Fox, just a couple of weeks ago said that they feel safer out there because Ryan Reeves is on the team.
And he's not going to have to do it much.
Make no mistake, Ryan Reeves makes a big impact on the New York Rangers and the mindset of some of their young stars.
Absolutely.
But we got to move on because those aren't the only 2 teams that are streaking. How about the Pittsburgh Penguins? I don't think they've been getting enough high fives this entire season. They've had COVID outbreaks. They've had injuries. I mean, Crosby's been out at times. Malkin, Letang, they've all been out. But here they are, another 5-game winning streak, the latest win coming against Montreal.
Yeah, I mean, it's impressive. You look at this group, I mean, Tristan Jarry's been awesome from day 1 of this season. This team is really dealt with just as much, if not more, than every team in this league as far as man games lost from significant players, and they just find a way. And the best thing about it, they're winning by defending. They're defending first, and you've got guys stepping up. I mean, they've gotten a really nice spot. Sidney Crosby had a heck of a game in this one last night, and more importantly, or more noticeable, I should say, is Evan Rodriguez. I mean, you talk about taking advantage of opportunities.
Listen,
he's taken full advantage.
When the Penguins shellacked, to use your terminology, the Toronto Maple Leafs, Evan Rodriguez was part of that game because the entire basically starting 5 is not playing. And I was like, who is this guy? I don't have to ask that question anymore.
Yeah, when you look at this, Dan, I'll kick it over to you. I just want to say real quick, when this team gets healthy, if Evgeny Malkin comes back, I want to see Evan Rodriguez on power play 1 on the Alex Ovechkin's side of the ice right there, because he's brought a shot this year and he gives them something different. And to the degree of even, I'm not sure when this team gets healthy if it's going to be Gensel, Crosby, Rust. It might be Gensel, Crosby, Rodriguez, which Brian Rust is a fantastic player. Him and Evgeny Malkin play well together. This makes their team deeper. They can slot in possibly Brian Rust with Evgeny Malkin, and now you're sitting there and you're cooking with gas with this forward group. So a lot of credit for Rodriguez.
Anytime I or the hockey world starts to doubt the Pittsburgh Penguins, where are they at? They always prove you wrong, don't they? And so far they have. And you mentioned they were decimated with injuries. But I go back to Mike Sullivan and the coaching staff. They are so well coached. They know how to win hockey games no matter who's in the lineup. Now they are getting healthy, and now they are kind of on fire and scoring goals right and left. And Brian Boyle, I mean, look at him. He's coming to that lineup, and he's didn't play hockey last year, basically, except in the World Championships. And he's revitalized, isn't he? Chipping in here and there as well and bringing that physicality and leadership.
All right, it's 5 wins in a row for the Pittsburgh Penguins.